parliamentary seats allocation changed.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
CBSL tender board members removed, enabling bond inquiry. EU regulators block $14 billion exchange merger. UK formally triggers exit from the EU. Brazil, first team to secure World Cup qualification.
Good evening. This is your primetime news at 9 and I'm Indibri Amwata. We take a look at the top stories making news tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena says that he is not ready to make any war hero a suspect in the allegations levelled at armed forces on human rights violations, but will not protect those who attack journalists and sportsmen. The president said this addressing a gathering in Kurunegala today.
President Maithripala Sirisena declared open the newly constructed 3-story building at the Defence Service School in Kurunegala. The Defence Services School offers English courses to students selected for the universities and vocational training. The President presented Virisara beneficial cards to war heroes and gave away prizes to outstanding students and those who excelled in the Year 5 scholarship examination.
Last week, a new report of the Human Rights Commission was released. In the meantime, through media, I saw a former officer of the Sri Lankan Navy going to the UN and handing over a statement. I'm not a lawyer, but to hand over a statement of a defendant, that person must be made a defendant. I don't think it is appropriate for anybody to make a statement without being a defendant. I'm not prepared to make any war hero a suspect in the charges levelled against the armed forces and the government on the alleged violations of human rights during the war against terrorism. Some ask me what is the use of international solidarity that we have built recently, which was unavailable before. I clearly say that the heads of state of other countries have personally assured me that they will not let the people of our country face any issue of human rights in any situation and that they will stand by us at any given point. However, if anyone has connections to assault and murders of journalists, sportsmen and others, we will not be able to protect them whether they are civilians, public servants, forces personnel or police. We consider protecting the war heroes as the duty and the responsibility of this government.
ආරක්ෂා කරන එක අපේ වගකීමක් සහ යුතුයකමක් ලෙස ඉතාමත්ම ඉහළම ලෙස අපි ඉෂ්ට කරනවා.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the country's identity could be protected without dividing the country. He spoke at a religious event that took place at the Sri Abhaya Vijayashrama in Suduwalla today.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe unveiled a 33-foot replica of the Aukana Buddha statue at the Sri Abhaya Vijayashrama in Colombo 10 this morning.
This temple is 125 to 150 years old. Previously, we only saw a bo tree here. Now, this place has become a proper religious site. Buddhism is the religion of the majority of this country. There is no doubt about the status that it deserves. According to our Lord Buddha's teachings, we should respect every religion. We have to let everyone follow their own religion. Otherwise, we aren't Sri Lankans. First of all, we have to work regardless of religious and racial differences. We have to provide a political solution that suits our background. We have already discussed this with all parties. The problem is how do we devolve power without dividing the country? Nobody says that we must divide the country. There have been proposals from both the north and south on provincial councils and their power. We have considered everything. It is when the people of this country work together that the country's economy and society will develop.
Kanakasabe Devadasan alias Nathan was given 20 years of rigorous imprisonment after being found guilty for conspiracy and abetting the suicide bomb attack in 2008 at the Fort Railway Station. 16 people, including 8 students of the baseball team of DS Senanayake College, Colombo, and their coach were killed, while 92 others were injured in the suicide bombing carried out by a female LTT cadre on the 3rd of February 2008. Kanakasabe Devadasan, alias Nathan, was charged with plotting, aiding and abetting the suicide bombing when he was sentenced today by the Colombo Special High Court Judge Piyasena Ranasinghe. And the Election Commission says the allocation of parliamentary seats for Badulla district will be reduced from 9 to 8. The Commission further said that parliamentary seats allocated for Jaffna district will be increased from 6 to 7 based on the 2016 electoral register. Meanwhile, several political party representatives met with Chairman of Election Commission Mahinda Deshapri today to discuss the delay in holding local government elections.
The chairman of Election Commission mainly focused on the upcoming local government elections. He clearly said that the responsibility of the elections lies not with the Election Commission but with Parliament, because this particular draft bill has some legal issues. Those should be rectified by Parliament. The Election Commission will be able to look into holding the elections once all that is done. But if this is getting postponed continuously, the election should be at least held under the old system. The chairman of the Election Commission clearly said that it is a violation of voting rights to postpone the local government elections.
As
the JVP, we said that there is a need to hold the local government election at once. It is wrong to postpone it, but if it is to be held, then there should be amendments to the new election laws. But the government is talking about shortcomings of the new bill and postponing the local government election.
The joint opposition says that they will take a decision with regard to remaining in oversight committees as the government is concealing information regarding the Hambantota report. These comments were made during a media briefing convened by the joint opposition.
The Honourable Prime Minister said that he will not take decisions without consulting oversight committees. Today, the United National Party says Cabinet approved an unofficial agreement on the Hambantota port, whereas the Sri Lanka Freedom Party section representing the government says no approval has been granted so far. However, a draft of the agreement has not even been submitted to the Oversight Committee as yet. The subject minister and deputy minister tell a completely different story. The port deal is going to be signed secretly, just like the agreement entered into with the LTTE. We as the opposition will discuss this and take a decision. There is no point of us representing the Oversight Committee.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena also expressed views regarding certain government policies.
Before the UNHRC session, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that allowing foreign judges to Sri Lanka is unconstitutional and therefore a referendum will have to be called. That means the joint opposition standpoint is correct. The foreign minister continues to say that those who talk about dangerous consequences of his decisions can only talk about that. The joint opposition stance is that no minister can go against the democratic rule, freedom, sovereignty or independence of the country. They say we received the GSP Plus concession, but we didn't. It is we who have to call for the government to hold elections in the north, but the TNA remains mute on this. The leader of the opposition is also quiet about this.
Also on the Hambantota report, the Janata Vimukti Peramuna claims that they have received information that if Hambantota port is sold, its premises and services will be subject to international law and not Sri Lankan law. Leader of the JVP, Anurukumara Disanayaka, made these remarks at a media briefing in Colombo today.
The
government is taking quick action to sell the Hambantota port soon. The process is being carried out even when there are internal issues within the government. $1,350 million of loans have been taken for the construction of the port. However, it has been proposed to sell the port for only $1,100 million. The estimate has not at least covered the loans taken for construction of the port. Maritime and other services have also been handed over to this company. According to information we have been receiving so far, the premises and the services of the port is to come under international law and not under the law of Sri Lanka. And if this is not the case, then the government has to give a proper explanation.
Meanwhile, Chief Minister of the Western Province Isura Devapriya says that President Maitripala Sirisena mentioned to Chief Ministers that no agreement regarding the Hambantota port has yet been signed by the Cabinet. He made these comments during a media briefing in Colombo today.
There are many views being discussed in the political arena regarding the Hambantota port. However, the President said to Chief Ministers when he met with us that no such agreement is signed yet by the government or the Cabinet.
And Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam has instructed the Secretary of the Ministry to initiate an immediate investigation into a group of students being barred from taking an examination at the Kingswood College in Kandy. They were reportedly prevented from sitting for examinations due to their parents not settling dues to the school.
A group of parents are complaining that the administration of Kingswood College in Kandy are not allowing their children to sit for term examinations due to their failure to pay a 6,000 rupees subscription to the School Development Society. The students have been prevented from taking the exam since Monday.
I could not pay the facility fees due to some financial difficulties. They had Buddhism and history on the first day, but they did not allow my child to sit for the exam. My child is crying because he was not allowed to sit for the exam. He said that they made him sit for 3 or 4 hours while the others were doing the examination. He said that he felt like committing suicide.
However, the Vice Principal of Kingswood College has denied these accusations.
It is not true. There were some students who did not pay, and we spoke to the relevant parents and solved the problem. However, some of them want to tarnish the image of the school, and they spread these rumors.
Meanwhile, State Minister of Education V. Radhakrishnan and the Central Province Governor Niluka Ekanayaka addressed the issue when questions arose at a program in which they participated.
No facility fees or development fees are relevant for the exams or to education. It is unfair. I am hoping to take necessary action regarding this.
And on the developments of the inquiry into the controversial Treasury bond issuance, the Central Bank's Monetary Board has removed all members of the tender board on Treasury bonds until the Commission of Inquiry completes its proceedings. The former chairman of the tender board, P. Samarasiri, told the Commission of Inquiry today that the board, including him, was removed as per a decision taken on the 20th of March, enabling members to give evidence for ongoing investigations.
Commencing the day's proceedings, State Counsel Dr. Avanti Pereira questioned Deputy Governor and former chairman of Tender Board, P. Samarasiri, about his opinion on the appointment of Deepa Senaviratne as the Superintendent of the Public Debt Department in February 2015 after former Governor Arjuna Mahendran took office. Samarasiri said that Arjuna Mahendran was of the belief that Deepa Senaviratne had excellent management skills and was thereby suitable for the position, although she did not have the technical knowledge required to hold the position. Deputy Governor Samarasiri went on to admit that he opposed some of the transfers of heads of department after Mahendran took office, but did not try to influence the then governor's decision. Meanwhile, Additional Solicitor General Dapula de Oliveira tried to point out that Samarasiri had made a telephone call to then-Governor Arjuna Mahendran during the tender board meeting shortly after the bond auction of February 27, 2015 was solely for his requirement and not because anyone asked him to do so.
In international business news, Brussels today blocked the merger of London Stock Exchange Group and Deutsche Börse just hours before the UK delivered its exit notice to the European Union. The European Commission prohibited the proposed merger of $14 billion, concluding that the merger would have created a de facto monopoly in the markets for clearing fixed income instruments. The formal halt brings to an end a 15-month effort by the exchanges to create a European giant that proponents argued would be able to revive US and Asian competitors. In separate statements, the LSE and Deutsche Börse both said that they regretted the decision. The deal had been calibrated to allow for decision-making in London, Frankfurt and Milan and would have created the world's largest exchange by total income and quantity of derivatives trades. And now we take a look at how the Colombo Stock Exchange traded today.
The benchmark all-share price index gained 36.46 points to close at 6,021.54, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 20.5 points to close at 3,419.53. The turnover was 388.47 million rupees, with 44.8 million shares changed in hands in 3,626 trades. Top 5 gainers of the day were PC House, CW Mackey, Hapugastan Plantations, Serendip Hotels and Ascot Holdings. Today's foreign purchases were 169.17 million rupees and foreign sales were 80.71 million rupees.
Now we take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. Brazil have become the first team to qualify for the 2018 World Cup after assuring themselves of a minimum fourth-place finish in the South American group with a win against Paraguay. Argentina, however, have dropped out of the top four thanks to a 2-0 loss hours after captain Lionel Messi received a ban.
Brazil have confirmed their participation in Russia 2018 with a 3-0 victory against Paraguay, their 8th on the trot. Barcelona's Neymar, Real Madrid's Marcelo and Liverpool forward Coutinho were on target for the Brazilians in a comfortable victory. Meanwhile, with captain Lionel Messi serving out a 4-match ban, Argentina could not find the inspiration to overcome Bolivia in La Paz. Juan Carlos Arce and Marcelo Martins were on target for the home side in a victory that drops Argentina to 5th place in qualifying.
In tennis, 5-time Grand Slam champion Maria Sharapova says she has got her day job back as she prepares to return to tennis after a 15-month ban. Sharapova faced the media at the Inspiring Women in Sports conference in Rancho Mirage in California yesterday.
Maria Sharapova was among the top 10 players in the world when she tested positive for the banned substance meldonium at last year's Australian Open. The 29-year-old Russian's 2-year ban was later reduced to 15 months by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Sharapova has announced her intention to return to competition in the Stuttgart Grand Prix next month.
I think ultimately it was the part where something was taken away from you that you've done so passionately since you were a little girl. Yes, it's a choice, but it becomes your life and it's your lifestyle. And although I'm at a stage and an age in my career and in my life where you're closer to the end than you are to the beginning, you always want to end your career or a chapter in your life on your terms and in your voice. And in a moment where you felt like it could have ended on someone else's voice and someone else's terms was very difficult to accept. And that's why I fought so hard for the truth to be out.
And you're almost back.
Yes.
In 1 month.
In 4 weeks. It's crazy.
And in your top international story, the United Kingdom has formally triggered the process of Britain's exit from the European Union bloc. British Prime Minister Theresa May, addressing the House of Commons, stated that the countdown to Britain's departure from the EU is underway.
Britain's permanent representative to the EU, Sir Tim Barrows, today delivered the official letter notifying Britain's intent to leave the European Union to the President of the European Council, Donald Tusk. The official letter, signed by Premier Theresa May yesterday, invokes Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, setting Brexit in motion. A summit of the 27 remaining EU leaders will be convened next month to agree to give the European Commission a mandate to negotiate with the UK. These negotiations are expected to begin in mid-May, and following extensive discussion and voting, the UK is scheduled to formally withdraw from the EU in March 2019. Addressing the House of Commons, Premier May called for unity over Brexit.
I will represent every person in the United Kingdom, and it is my fierce determination to get the right deal for every single person in this country. For as we face the opportunities ahead of us on this momentous journey, our shared values, interests and ambitions can and must bring us together. Mr. Speaker, we understand that there will be consequences for the UK of leaving the EU. However, we approach these talks constructively, respectfully, and in a spirit of sincere cooperation.
On to your weather report for tomorrow. Showers or thunder showers will occur at most provinces over the island during the afternoon tomorrow. Fairly heavy falls of more than 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western Sabaragamo, northwestern, central, north central, Uwa and southern provinces of the country. A few morning showers can also be expected in the coastal areas of the eastern province. Now we take a look at your city-by-city forecast. That's all we have for tonight. But before we go, we'd like to end the day with some visuals from Nine Royals event in Italy, where 18 years old Andrea Lagelli has become the first skier to land a quad-core 1,800.
Information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.